I first learned about the magic and power of the high fidelity wraparound through our first grant with the City of Richmond and our regional grant. We had approached UMFS to go after that grant, and it was such an exciting experience. But when I heard the first family expressing what their experience was, how they had struggled for years with mental health issues and relationship issues, and this mother and daughter came together and learned how to totally transform their lives. It was so exciting that it became my mission to champion it. So when I came to Virginia Beach, there was no high fidelity wraparound, and I said, we're going to repeat this. So second grant came out, and I immediately went to UMFS and said, we've got to do this again. So we brought 6 localities together, 3 private providers together. We built the whole capacity up. It was just amazing.
So my role in the ICC process is as a facilitator. And so what that looks like is I am one of the major individuals who are responsible for the fidelity of the model. So the high fidelity wraparound model is one that is evidence-based. And so I make sure that all of those components that ensure that we can see those same outcomes with our family happen when I'm working with mine. So within the process, we walk our family through the discovery phase. In that phase, we're looking at the strengths, their needs, the culture of that individual family, and what things look like for them. We then walk the family through a crisis prevention plan. And so within that process, we're trying to figure out what are the things that are not going well, what are the crises that come up, and how do we best resolve those issues so we can work on the other underlying needs that exist for that family as well. We pull a team together that could include paid providers that work with that family, that could include other natural supports that they already have. Who do they call when something goes wrong? Who do they rely on? We want to bring them into the process too. So we create a team around that family, but the most important part is that the family still feels like they're driving that bus, that they're driving that team. The high fidelity wraparound model is based upon the theory of change. And so what that speaks to is helping that family to build self-efficacy. And so whereas they might have paid providers that come in and support them in the beginning and help walk them through the process, we really are translating the skills necessary for them to manage these crises as they come, even after we are no longer a part of that team.
We have seen, it's been like night and day. Actually, she went from being a child who was completely unpredictable, where we had to lock our doors at night and lock up any kind of sharp objects and medications, to being really pretty much more like a normal teenager, who we could trust and who we do not have to fear for her safety or for the safety of others in our family. And it really has been a flip from one circumstance that was a very scary circumstance for everyone to us having peace and just normal life in our home.
The FSP's relationship with the ICC coordinator is one. You have to be in sync, you have to communicate well together. The FSP is also the person that will follow through with the action steps, make sure that the family completes their action steps. The FSP will also have an action step that she will or he will complete.
With being the CSA coordinator with the City of Chesapeake, I get the privilege of sitting on the Regional Steering Committee for the Systems of Care Grant. This has allowed our locality to become educated about the high fidelity wraparound model, intensive care coordination services, along with the other branches inclusive of family support partner and peer supports. This has in turn allowed our families and youth to participate in this service, which in turn decreases the number of children going into more restrictive placements, such as congregate care, which is inclusive of group homes or residential facilities.
This model is probably the only model that truly reflects what CSA is all about. Children's Services Act is supposed to be strengthening families, it's supposed to be empowering them, it's supposed to be helping them build their vision, and it does it just beautifully. We recently had a family who didn't want to participate in it and didn't want anybody in their home, and they have started it, and it's transformed their whole attitude. So over and over we see this. Through this second grant and the partnership, we became introduced to the open table model, and that became my second mission. Through the open table mirrors the same philosophy, the theory of change, that high fidelity wraparound does. But what it does is it incorporates the model for the people in the community, for churches, for civic groups, whoever wants to help others. And it really helps for anybody who has relationship poverty or economic poverty, and it helps sustain the gains that families get from high fidelity wraparound.
Our locality has established our own Systems of Care Committee, which we call our local Systems of Care, which branches from the Regional Steering Committee. The main focus is sustainability, in addition to looking at systems of care collectively. So we're looking at how our families are affected by the court system, how they're affected by foster care and the social services, so on and so forth, and how we can collectively benefit our families, as well as maintain use of the high fidelity wraparound services. And so our committee is made up of the same stakeholders that are usually on our FAP teams, which are inclusive of Department of Social Services, court services, public schools. We also have community programs, which is a branch of the Department of Social Services as well. But again, looking at different facets of our community, looking at our religious community and how we can involve public businesses as well, again, to support our families.
The job of the family support partner is to be a voice and a choice, help the family have their voice and choice. We also help them build natural resources, which are people that they will meet in the community or in their group that will still be around once the paid providers are gone. We encourage them to rebuild relationships with people from their past that may be a natural resource that they don't have.
Upon meeting the family, this was a different dynamic than what I was accustomed to, because we had a family that was not just one child with a disability, but she had 3 children with disabilities. And so this woman was very well versed in community supports and things like that. So going in, my focus was trying to get to know her and get to know each individual and see what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were, and how I could actually fit in and help. What could I do?
We never felt like we had any kind of pressure on us to do things a certain way. We were very much given control over it, which was the best thing for us, because, you know, we were a family and we had felt very much like we had lost control. And being able to gain control and be able to say, this is what we want to do, this is the goal we want for our family, and to be able to have us, people surrounding us and supporting us in making those goals and helping us to make those goals was very key.
The FSP is also the person that will follow through with the action steps, make sure that the family completes their action steps. The FSP will also have an action step that she will or he will complete for the month.
With the team meetings, my focus was Montreal, and that was because we knew that, you know, Montreal had behaviors that could really hinder what we were trying to do. We wanted to be a productive and an effective meeting, and so Montreal, what do you want? Montreal wants breaks. Montreal liked to go out in the library and check out books, and so we set it up where every 15 minutes, Montreal took a 5 to 10 minute break and got to do something that he wanted to do. We also set up rewards. Montreal, to get through this meeting successfully, let's have a reward. He wanted snacks, so I made sure I had snacks and things like that ready for him. So when he needed that break, he got that break, and it was timed, it was set. And when he wanted that snack, that reward at the end, I made sure that he had that readily available. And he felt a sense of accomplishment too, that he met the goals that we set forth as well. So it was win-win.
This services actually helped me wrap around every service that I need. This was different from what others would do because they would go home, but even Miss Romania, she could give me a phone call and we could still work after hours. No other company could do that for you.
Another important part of my role was to follow up with the parents. You know, whatever the outcome was or the action steps that we set up in the meeting was for me to go back to the family and to follow up and encourage her. And again, to get in the trenches, okay, well, were we supposed to set this up or were we supposed to call this person? And I just reached out to her and just reminded her. And again, if I needed to get on the phone with her, let's get on the phone and get this done so that when we come back, you know, we had a fresh start. We could find out where we were in this process, and if we needed to develop additional action steps, we could do that and not have to go back and do some of the things that we already supposed to had completed.
And the team showed me and wrapped around me and showed me that the goals that were set up were possible. And we actually met our goal.